we have got to talk about Alex Cooper because she is finally breaking her silence and addressing the massive allegations that have been made against both her husband, Matt Kaplan, and her media network, Unwell. And let's just be completely honest here, things are looking incredibly messy behind the scenes over there, and it is definitely not looking too well at Unwell. We are going to dive deep into exactly what Alex had to say when she was recently put on the spot during an interview about this drama, how the internet has been reacting to her defense strategy, and why this entire situation is threatening her brand. Lately, Unwell has come under serious fire after multiple employees started speaking out about what it's actually like to work at the company. For a brand that was built entirely on the concept of Father Cooper and women supporting women, these leaks are making Alex Cooper look like the exact opposite of female empowerment. Over the last few months, behind-the-scenes details have slowly been leaking out regarding how the Unwell offices are actually being run, exposing just how much influence Alex's husband has over day-to-day operations. In case you missed the details, this all exploded because of a major investigative piece published by Vanity Fair. The article was titled, "Daddy Issues: Trouble Behind the Scenes of Alex Cooper's Unwell Media Empire." The publication didn't just base this on one or two disgruntled people. They stated they spoke to 40 unique sources. At least 30 of those individuals were either past or present Unwell employees, and the majority of them were young women in their 20s trying to get their start in the media industry. They all detailed a very similar troubling experience while working closely with Alex and her husband, Matt Kaplan. Let's look directly at what the article exposed. They wrote, "And they describe a company where Cooper is indeed the talent, but where executive decisions are largely made by her husband, whom several described as having a leadership style that has felt like a volatile mix of unprofessional and caustic at turns flirtatious, or even given to screaming." When you break that down, it paints a really bizarre corporate culture. According to the reporting, some female staff members tried to brush it off as Matt simply acting weird or eccentric, but many others admitted they were deeply and negatively impacted by his leadership style. To understand why this is such a logistical nightmare for Alex, you have to look at how tightly intertwined their professional lives actually are. Alex and Matt completely merged their corporate ventures after they got together. They basically took all of the separate businesses they owned prior to meeting each other and shoved them under a single corporate umbrella called Trending. Unwell Media is just a branch of Trending. Call Her Daddy is a branch of Trending. And Matt's production company, Ace Entertainment, is also a branch of Trending. It is kind of crazy how deeply intertwined everything is. Because their professional lives are so fused together, a massive toxic workplace scandal directly compromises both of them financially and legally. But here is the catch. Alex is the front-facing talent of the operation. While Matt handles the corporate dealings in the shadows, she is the one hosting the interviews, running the cameras, promoting the projects, and taking all the credit in major industry press releases. That's why Matt's alleged workplace behavior directly damages her reputation. It hits completely different when she is constantly preaching to her audience about how she runs a company of women for women. She has constantly marketed Unwell and Call Her Daddy as spaces where women can get advice, feel validated, and feel heard. That was the whole foundation of the massive Call Her Daddy rebrand a few years back. It went from being a raw, chaotic sex podcast to an empowering, feminist platform. So naturally, when an army of former and current employees step forward claiming that Matt Kaplan fosters an intimidating, uncomfortable, and toxic corporate environment, it completely destroys that narrative. Sources in the article alleged that he would regularly degrade employees, insult their physical appearances, ask highly inappropriate questions about their intimate lives, and even threaten their future careers in the industry if they didn't comply. When things like that surface, the public is naturally going to turn to Alex and ask, what exactly is happening at your firm, and what are you actively doing to fix this? Well, we finally got our answer as to how she is handling it. This past week, Alex attended Cannes Lions in France, which is the absolute largest marketing and advertising convention in the world, spanning over 5 days. While she was on stage, she was directly asked about the toxic workplace rumors. Instead of addressing the specific corporate culture issues, she basically brushed the entire investigation off, telling the audience to just not believe everything they read online. When the moderator directly asked her how she reconciles the
How do you reconcile the empowering feminist message of your brand with the allegations that were made in Vanity Fair that Unwell actually fosters a toxic workforce environment?
Great question. I will say that building a startup, there's so much growth that comes with that, and I am extremely proud of what we have built at Unwell. And I will just kind of leave it at, don't believe everything that you read on the internet, but I think everyone knows that at this point.
Okay.
But the audience didn't fully buy that, and she was pressed again about the company environment. This time, she tried to pivot the entire conversation by claiming women in media are just held to unfair double standards. The interviewer asked her if these allegations were a sign of changing generational expectations among younger employees or if Unwell had a genuine internal problem. Alex responded with this.
There's clearly some employees that feel some way. Are these allegations, do you think, a statement more about how this generation of employees' expectations have just changed, or do you think you have the real problem?
I think that we have done a really incredible job at Unwell, and I think if you walk the halls, there are so many people that are so happy to work at this company. I think, unfortunately, being a woman in this industry is extremely difficult because you're held to a complete different standard. Whether it's a smear campaign being created for someone's narrative, whatever it be, like, I think when you read lies about yourself to fuel something else that is an obvious situation going on, it's hard, but I think the reason that I've had success in this industry is I have really thick skin, and I'm gonna keep pushing forward.
Look, let's break this response down because there is a lot to unpack here. There is absolutely no denying that Hollywood and the corporate business world are heavily dominated by men, and women face massive hurdles. But if you look closely at what people are actually complaining about in the Vanity Fair piece, they aren't pointing the finger at Alex's success. They are explicitly stating that her husband is the issue and that his corporate conduct is completely out of line. This technically shouldn't be about her gender or her status as a successful woman in media, except for the major detail that she chose to partner with him and owns the company alongside him. The public isn't calling Alex a toxic boss. They are calling out Matt. People are saying she is enabling it, but they aren't saying she is the one yelling at staff. So unless she is internalizing this entire situation as a targeted attack on her own success, as if people are targeting her husband just to bring her down, her defense doesn't really make sense. It definitely seems like that is what she's implying, even if it doesn't match the reality of what the employees are saying. Furthermore, during that panel, the question was framed as if these complaints were just coming from bitter, disgruntled ex-employees who are mad they are no longer at the firm. But the Vanity Fair piece made it clear that active current employees were also speaking out anonymously. Now, obviously, current staff members aren't going to completely trash their boss publicly because they are terrified of losing their livelihoods. That's likely why a few of them tried to downplay the situation to reporters by saying things like, "Oh, Matt's just a weird guy." It's not a great defense, and it doesn't exactly deny the behavior, but it's a typical corporate shield strategy to minimize damage. What makes this entire situation even crazier is how Alex and Matt's legal team tried to aggressively bully Vanity Fair before the piece even dropped. The moment Page Six leaked a tiny teaser that an expose was in development, their high-profile lawyer immediately sent a terrifying legal warning letter. You'll probably recognize his name, Brian Friedman. This is the exact same powerhouse attorney who represented Justin Baldoni during his drama against Blake Lively, defended Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly against their networks, handled Kevin Spacey's legal battles, and represented both Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo. In the legal notice sent on behalf of Cooper, Kaplan, and Unwell, Friedman accused the magazine of assigning the story to a completely inexperienced, novice journalist. He also claimed the writer had personal ties to Alex Earl, who is a direct competitor to Unwell in the influencer and podcasting market. The letter went so far as to issue an explicit threat, stating that if the article even implied any form of sexual misconduct or impropriety from Matt Kaplan, Friedman would make it his life's mission to ensure Vanity Fair's days were completely numbered. Seeing how their legal team handled this makes me think Alex genuinely believes this entire situation is a targeted hit piece orchestrated by Alex Earl. It feels like she thinks Alex is so bitter over her recent split from the Unwell network that she is actively trying to sabotage the brand by manipulating journalists to write horror stories about Matt. But it makes you wonder, what was Matt's actual professional relationship with Alex Earl behind closed doors before she left the network? Did Alex experience the exact same toxic behavior that these other female employees are describing? The legal team is trying so hard to link the journalist Clara Molat to Alex Earl just because they did a simple promotional Q&A together a couple of years ago. Trying to turn a massive multi-source corporate investigation into a petty influencer rivalry is wild, but it shows how defensive they are. Surprisingly, none of this drama seems to be hurting their bottom line in Hollywood just yet. Business is moving forward as usual. Alex has rolled out 3 major entertainment projects in just the last 2 weeks alone. She and Matt are serving as executive producers for the highly anticipated television adaptation of the popular novel Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. They are also co-executive producing a massive new project that reunites the Vampire Diaries stars Nina Dobrev and Paul Wesley, which blew up on Instagram. On top of that, it was just revealed that Alex will be starring in a new microdrama spoof series called Moving On. She is genuinely everywhere right now. But notice the pattern. Wherever she goes, Matt is right there with her. He just stays out of the headlines while she takes the heat. Because their careers and companies are completely fused together, she cannot afford to just ignore these workplace allegations or brush them off as internet lies. Obviously, she's never going to admit to any wrongdoing during a public marketing interview, but for the sake of her brand's message of empowerment, you have to hope they are actually fixing the internal culture behind closed doors. But that is how Alex Cooper is handling the massive corporate fallout at Unwell. I definitely want to hear what you all think about this situation. Do you think she's handling it well, or is the defense a bad look? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!